Yo, man, this is it. This is the top 5 best disc records. Now, how we came to this is this is based on everything. Just can't cut out, can't say impact and everything else, commercial. You gotta count all of it. You gotta count what kind of damage it done to the other person. And then, if it's a hot record, if the joint is hot, you gotta rock with it, I mean, it's been a lot of good disc records. Shouts out to Lights Out Party Over. But Antoinette, Who's the Boss? It's been plenty of good joints out there. And I think she had better records than the 10% disc. But MC Light, I mean, there's a lot of good disc records. But we gotta look at impact. Impact on the genre, impact on everything around, like the whole nine, lyrics, how the beat, everything is counted when you do this. And right now, I got about, people are tied, and that's how close this is. But I gotta go ahead and do it. It's gotta be done. So this is tough. This is tough. I mean, it really is. I'm still kind of going back and forth. I went back. Now I'm thinking about changing my number one. But no, my number one is solidified. I think my top 3 is solidified. It's my last 2 that's breaking me in half. Because I got them all tied. And shout outs for Big Mama. The Big Mama disc. Roxanne Shante. Anything by Cassie. The Bing, Benny Siegel, Jada Kiss. It's been a lot of disc records. But it's also about the caliber of the opposition. We don't want to hear somebody dissing Beanie Man or something. So the caliber of the opposition is what's suffice. And let me tell you, Long Kiss Goodnight is not in the list because Long Kiss Goodnight was not classified as a disc record. Neither was Kick in the Door. These were not classified as disc records. And since Biggie wasn't here to clarify those as disc records, we cannot include them. We might do a fun list where we just go no commercial, no everything, just straight from the streets. underground independent, who was the best diss record, diss you ever heard. We could do that, but we gotta get this list going. Number 5 is Hit 'Em Up. Like I said, it was tied, but I gotta stick with the list. And the way I did it is Hit 'Em Up is number 5 with Tupac. And a lot of people gonna be Hit 'Em Up number 5. Hit 'Em Up should be number 1. Man, you hating on Pac. I knew it. You're nothing but a Nas lover. Blah 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 blah. You know, I've expected this, so I already know I'm gonna hear all that and see it all in the chat room, be reading about it. Hit 'Em Up is the greatest diss record of all times. It is not. That's why there's like 2 versions or 3 different versions of Hit 'Em Up. There's the first version they did, which was really like the subpar, and the finished product was pretty good. But the guys that had the most impactful lyrics on there were the Outlaws. If it wasn't for the Outlaws, Hit 'Em Up would just be just a rant record more than a diss record. All the lyrics, all hitting the marks, everything came from the Outlaws. They spit the bars. From Fatal on down, they murdered the song. Think about it. All the classic lines came from them. Get out the way, yo. Get out the way, yo. Biggie Smalls just got Trump. Big moves past the mat, so I can hit him in his back. Frank White gonna get spanked right. That's why Tupac came back on with another verse. He heard that and was like, "Oh man, they gonna steal my thunder. I gotta get back in here." He wasn't supposed to do it at all. Get your Junior Whopper click smoked. Man, they laced it. Laced that track. And that's why it's number 5. I mean, Tupac ranting at the end is what nobody had ever heard anybody really do that ever. And it took it to a level because it was Tupac, and it was the first diss record to reach that plateau of, whoa, somebody might get killed. Like, it was that serious. Like, oh man, it's really on. Like, people was like, he is really mad. Like what's going on here? So this record was worldwide. Hit 'Em Up was played. The impact of Hit 'Em Up, LA, everywhere. Everywhere you go was Hit 'Em Up. You could not escape it. Till people start cloning it, and they start making their own like Hit 'Em Up versions, and everybody, it changed the way diss records were to be done. It was no more art form anymore, no more trying to be subliminal. People was just dissing, yeah, you orange shirt wearing mother. You know, it was, yeah, I'm talking to you, Red. You orange shirt wearing mother. How your name Red? He wearing orange shirts. So yeah, it was just going crazy. But number 4, Real Compton City G's. Now people gonna start screaming and yelling, "Hit 'Em Up was way better than the most Compton City G's." Oh no, it was not. This song was so precise. Like, you don't understand. This song was added as the last song on the album. This song never got, no one ever heard the song until the video shoot. It was the first time it had never been on the radio. It was no airplay, nothing. When they shot the video, that was the first time people heard the song. Never before has that like really been done. And with somebody of a stature of an Eazy-E, a popular artist, that's normally something independent artists, like maybe you'll catch their video late at night on TV and that's the way you heard of them, but not somebody who's a nationally known star. The first time you hear the song, it's not on the radio, it's through the video. And that was the vision of Eazy. He knew videos was going to be the future of communicating through everything else. So, and getting the message out quicker is have the visual with the audio. So to put the videos out with the song, same time, that was the way to do it. And Real Compton City G's was on point because Dre Day had set the stage for Eazy-E to come back, and no one thought Eazy-E was going to come back or even paid any attention. And to come back with the same style that they basically shot the video in, using the like the prop and the guy, the video was more pugnant, what they say, to the story, because it was almost like a continuation where they left off from the Dre Day video, when they were insulting him with the guy imitating Eazy-E and having that imitating guy run into the real Eazy-E while he's in the city of Compton, proving Dre's not really from Compton. Suge Knight, everything that he was saying about Dre and how he's wearing lipstick and lace and smoking on chronic at picnics, and Gangsta Dre said BG knockout, just lacing it over that gangster beat. My goodness, it is in the city of Compton. They riding around, and then people forgot, yeah, Dre ain't no Compton City G. Like, how did we fall for this? And it was really Snoop who said it in the song D's Nuts, when he called Dre, make way for the notorious Compton G. And that's when he's like, Compton G? Dre ain't never been no Compton G in his life. So that propelled them to make that song, and they did that song basically in almost one day, knocked it out, and oh my goodness, it was all out the park. And the impact of Real Compton City G's, that even though Snoop Dogg came out and was killing and selling records, Real Compton City G's stayed on the box every day. They played Real Compton City G's through the Midwest, through the New York. Everybody was bumping Real Compton City G's. That was the song. And it was in the clubs. It was the first diss record I ever heard in a nightclub. People were like, yeah, that's tight. That had that kind of impact. No, I take that back, because they did have, what's his name in the club? Dre Day. Dre Day was in the club. So I do take that back. Dre Day was playing in the clubs. But when Real Compton City G's came out, nobody talked about Dre Day no more. That's when you got a monster on your hands. That's when you didn't drop that thing. That it's over. Nobody talked about Dre Day no more. I mean, it wasn't even a mention of Dre Day once Real Compton City G's came out. The impact was felt. And Eazy was about to take them out the game. Then all the problems started happening. But anyway, let's go to number 3. Number 3 is Ether. Boom, Jay-Z. Everybody, whoa, Ether's not your number 1 diss record of all times. It's up there. It's number 3 all time. Ether was the perfect spike from the setup from the takeover. Now the takeover only mentioned a verse of Nas because the takeover, which is an honorable mention, so I don't want nobody to get any ideas, and let me take your hopes out now. Takeover is not in this top 5. But it's in the honorable mention. It's in the top 7. So, there you go. Now, the thing is about Takeover was a diss record at Prodigy. Period. That's all it was. That verse was added by Nas strategically by Jay-Z. When he had that line in there that he dropped his Summer Jam, ask Nas. He don't want it with Hov. And when he said that, Nas dropped the Stillmatic freestyle, which was nice. But it was a setup punch. Once he dropped that Stillmatic freestyle, Jay had not released the album for mastering. So once he heard the Stillmatic freestyle, he took everything Nas said in the Stillmatic freestyle and answered it in the verses. And put the verse out. He's talking about, Nas talked about him sampling his voice in the Stillmatic freestyle. And he just answered all Nas rebuttals in the takeover and added the Nas verse. And people didn't know until they got the album, because they had heard the takeover song, it was leaked, but not the part with Nas, not the verse. That's why it's 4 verses on that album, in that song. Now, Ether comes out. Nas was very nonchalant when he made it and released it. And when it got leaked out, like a day or two before the album dropped, the streets had it. It was, oh my God. You want to talk about people didn't even know. It was just at the right time. The timing of Ether, the flow of Ether, everything was the shock of the hour. No one had ever thought in a million years Nas could ever rap that way and be so abrasive. To hear that come from someone like Nas was the shock. It was a shock and awe, and then he owned it. It was so bad of a sunning job that Jay-Z had no words the next day. They got him on the radio station. He couldn't even talk. That's how devastating the song was to his life. It almost took him out the game. He was damaged beyond repair. I mean, everybody around the world was saying, fuck Jay-Z. Nightclubs everywhere. New Orleans. I was in New Orleans at Mardi Gras. They played Ether. I'm sorry, y'all. I got a little too excited. They played Ether at the Mardi Gras. And everybody erupted. This is New Orleans. New Orleans. They erupted. In Magnolia, they bumped Ether. Mississippi, they bumped Ether. And the last verse was just like dagger after dagger after dagger after dagger. Because it was all true. People are like, oh, well, that was just fabricated. No. Jay-Z know. And he knew. That's why he says that last verse just went too far. He went too far with that last verse. He was hurt because he thought it was too far. It's too much. It's too far. You're in a battle, buddy. Ain't no such thing as too far. You lit the match. You lit the fuse. And don't get mad when the fuse get to the dynamite and the dynamite blow. You lit the fuse. Well, it brings us to our honorable mentions. That was, like I said, Common Sense, The Bitch in You was the other one that was tied with Hit 'Em Up in the Takeover. Both of those songs, I had them tied up with Hit 'Em Up, but Hit 'Em Up obviously above those. The Bitch in You is honorable mention, and the reason why it's up so high, it never got the impact throughout the rest of the world, but it was amazing because that diss record was so flawless, lyrically so flawless, that it had to be mentioned in the top 10. That's because he went out the giant. Ice Cube was a giant in the game. He's a giant in the game. And you comment and and he comes at you. And you come back and beat a giant. And it looked like Ice Cube was the rookie and Common was the veteran rapper. That took art form. He broke down his career into Metamucil. And of course we gotta give honorable mention to Second Round Knockout. Second Round Knockout is in the top 10 cannabis. People gonna say, oh no, it's not. How do you have that there? I'm like, yeah, Second Round Knockout's up there, brother. That's a very, very dangerous song. And that beat was tough. And nobody had ever went at LL Cool J that hard. So definitely it's up there. Then we got the honorable mentions, of course, to The Break of Dawn, one of LL Cool J's best diss records. The Ripper Strikes Back, another one of them. Kool Mo D, Let's Go, and How You Like Me Now, both two classic diss records. And that they really put the rap on alert with the diss records and Kill That Noise, South Bronx. We gotta give it up to them. But let's move it on to number 2. Number 2, y'all. Ice Cube, No Vaseline. What can I say, y'all? What can I say? What can I say? What can I say? I mean, what can I say? I mean, No Vaseline is exactly what I was talking about with a flawless rap. No Vaseline was recorded. Don't look at Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton, the movie, will mess you up, especially with timelines. Ice Cube waited before he dropped that song. He waited till his album came out to drop the song. He waited a long time because they dissed him on the EP of 100 Miles and Running. So when he had Jackin' for Beats and all that stuff out, that came after 100 Miles and Running was out. Kill at Will came out after 100 Miles and Running. And then he say, I had you marked 100 Miles and Running. Real Niggas was already on that song when they dissing Ice Cube. So he heard the record and still didn't put out a diss record. He just threw that little jab at him because he was waiting. on his next album to put a joint on there for NWA. One of the greatest albums in hip-hop history, Death Certificate. The very last song, when I was like, oh man, everybody thought like, man, he gonna be dissing NWA on one of these songs. And we sitting there, I remember sitting on 74th Street, 74th and Vernon. And I'm sitting in the crib, I'm listening to I got the cassette, listening to the tape, and we going all the way through the tape. And I gotta finish this tape for my mama to get home because it's cussing on it, and I can't play no cussing in front of my mama, so that was out. So I'm playing the tape, and man, me and my boys was like, man, yeah, just forget about it, man. He ain't gonna even diss NWA. And it just goes off. Yeah, it's a dope tape, man, but he ain't even diss NWA. Oh, it ain't over, mother. It just came on just like that. It was a long pause right after the song Us, and it just go, oh yeah, it ain't over, mother. And wow, each verse was more devastating than the last. Each verse was for each person. Dre was the first person he addressed. Then he addressed MC Ren. Then he addressed Eazy-E and Jerry Ella. And it was perfection. NWA never responded. The impact was so great. The song was played all throughout the West Coast. Everybody couldn't escape it. The song's impact was so intense that it highlighted the problems that was already going on in the camp. And it was like he could see it even though he wasn't there. He was already telling them what's going on. And then they started to ask these questions. They started to have more problems, and they were still going on at the time. So when the record came out, it was just like, look, we had all these problems going in, and that was it. They did a video for Appetite for Destruction, and by that time, that was about the last time everybody was all brothers. And after that, it was over, and everybody was basically going to disband. And that brings us to number one diss record of all time. And that is The Bridge Is Over. I don't care what anybody has to say. This guy dissed Queensbridge, the Juice Crew. The bridge is over. It was at MC Shan, but you really dissing the bridge. When you say the bridge is over, you're dissing that borough, Queensbridge. When he says that line, Queens keep on faking it. You just dissed everybody in Queens. Are you kidding me? The whole borough got dissed. Nobody was doing. It had never been done. And the fact that the beat was actually done by somebody else, Marley Marl, who was the other person, MC Shan's DJ. He made the beat. So they getting dissed on their own beat that they didn't even put out yet. Because they had took it from Busy B, who left the reels right there. So they took the drum beats off that and hooked it up. Marley made the own beat that ended up dissing him. You can't. That's number one already. This song ended MC Shan's career as a rapper. He was done. As popular as Shan was, they were done. He never really responded. It was other responses. This feud went on for a long time than what people know, but they were done. It launched the birth of KRS-One and BDP. They was like, okay, Shan's done. Even Queensbridge followed KRS-One. MC Shan posters was ripped off the walls. It was done. It's the best diss record ever made. Period. There's nothing else I could really say. There's been great. Some people gonna say, what about 50 Cent's Back Down? I mean, 50 Cent had done a lot of diss records before he even, that was a lot better than Back Down. So, I mean, some people like Piggy Bank, and I mean 50. I mean, come on, a lot of his diss records. A lot of his stuff is diss records, so it's really hard. That's like Game or putting Joe Buttons in there. I'm interested. I want to see y'all post y'all top 5. This is my top 5, and I gave y'all about another 5 videos that's gonna be in there in the top 10 anyway. So you can basically make a top 10 out of them. Because I did a review on basically all the songs that should have been in there and could have been in there too. It's a tough list. It's a very tough list. But there was no bias in this at all. This is 100% lyrical skills, delivery, impact, the whole 9 yards, man. This is it. And follow the playlist. The top 5 hip-hop videos, or to top 5 hip-hop, period. I think that's what it is, a hip-hop top 5. But anyway, you'll see the playlist. Follow it. It's your boy Carcino. I'm out.